Okay, so apparently I'm recording right now, and there's a lot to talk about. Um, Christendom is dying. Um, Not just Christianity or the church. We still have the Eastern Orthodox Church in full full functioning, but the idea of Christendom is dying. Um, that we are a cohesive people. Even the family unit, which is the basis for tribalism, if you may, or school spirit, or town pride, um, is going, which nationalism is the next thing to go. And again, I hate the white nationalist and the black nationalist because they don't have a nation, right? You could be a Boer nationalist. You could be a Japanese nationalist. You could be a, insert nation here nationalist. You cannot be a white nationalist. Case in point, the Slavs really were never considered white. And I had a teacher for medical terminology, and everybody thought she was from India. She was from Albania. Um, are the Italians white? If so, then the Albanians are white. And if they are, then so are the Southern Spanish and the Southwestern Portuguese. And if they are, then there's a lot of white people in Latin America. Um, so this these stupid ideas, and I hear these race realists talk about white people and all this kind of nonsense. It's Christendom. Um, you know, People might point the finger at me and say, "Oh yeah, but look at you, Syrian, Latino, and Irish. You would say that, but sorry, took a drink of a Coke. Um, Christianity does kill racism. I mean, I've been in services and liturgies where I was surrounded by Copts or Palestinians, Jordanians, Syrians, or Ethiopians, or Russians, or just a mix of the lot of us. Um, the the cure is orthodoxy because the Protestant church has become so feminized. I mean, look what they did. It feminized and embarrassed of their own um, traditions and ancient culture. They despise the ancient past. Which how do you despise the ancient past without despising Christ and the your ancestors and the ancient ones? When they reburied Richard III, they reburied him not like they would bury kings, where they would make, basically a statue of him in armor, and that would be uh, laying on top of his grave, as if he was lying down with his swords and everything ready to battle. No, they had a 4 foot tall by 9 foot and 6 foot wide solid piece of marble with a very dull cross cut into it. And that was it. Disgusting. Um, just appalling. And not to mention that Richard III, whatever you thought of him, was a Roman Catholic. He was baptized in the Roman Catholic Church, and he died a Roman Catholic. I myself am not a Roman Catholic, but the Church of England at the time, they should have given they should have respected him. I mean, if we find Saracen or a Muslim, um, graves at some point, or Jewish graves, are we going to bury them according to the Anglican rite? No way. Then why would we bury this great man in the Anglican way? It's silly. Again, I am for culture. And as the late Andrew Breitbart said, politics is downhill from culture. I tried to tell the young Americans that, but they were more bent on race, and they had chased a lot of people away with their racist rhetoric. Now, I'm not saying that this is all of the young Americans, but I went to one of their meetings, and I was shocked at how blatant it was, and I blame the liberals for this and the teachers for this. That well, the only option is Nazism, and the problem is that the Nazis are left wing. They're the leftists. They are the natural reaction to communism, which is international socialism, and these guys are national socialists. They just don't want the destruction of the family, destruction of all eternal ideas and philosophies, the destruction of marriage, the destruction of private property. People chant, communism, 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 but I don't think they've ever read the Communist Manifesto once. Jesus was a communist. Well, Jesus believed in God, so he would have been lined up against the wall and shot. Jesus believed that it was good for men and women to be married, so he would have been lined up against the wall and shot. Jesus was for doing good. The widow's mite and morality and philosophy, so he would have been put up against the wall and shot. These are capital crimes in communist countries, and the communists are far worse than the Nazis ever were. And the Nazis are bad news. Those on the right should not have to defend the Nazis or even claim the Nazis as right-wing, because they're not. I myself, I don't know if I'm right-wing because for the Provisional IRA, I believe that Nicaragua and El Salvador had the right to defend themselves, and that the CIA and the School of the Americas trained men to target nuns, rape and torture them in the worst ways, and kill those 9 priests. So I don't think those were communist movements in El Salvador and Nicaragua. I think they were populist movements. And certainly the Sandinistas were, because look at when they were given free elections, it was the pro-American capitalists that won. It wasn't Denny Ortega. Certainly there was the Piñata, but at Central America there was no bloodletting. Where we see communism be brought in by force. There's a lot of bloodshed, and even when it's taken democratically, like with Allende in Chile, the Chilean parliament begged Pinochet to come in and basically cause a coup to happen, because Allende was a Soviet spy, and with Nicolas Maduro continuing Hugo Chavez policies. I mean, I believe that was a coup. I mean, they illegally changed the constitution so that you could be president for life. I mean, these safeguards are there for a reason. But yeah, everybody thinks, it's there's the worst thing in the world, immigration, everything. Immigration isn't the worst thing in the world, right? I feel bad because the assimilation that's been wrought upon the Latino people from the United States and its nihilistic and evil humor. But the Islamic countries, that's the ones that we should be watching out for. Not just Islamic countries. I don't mean that. I mean the Sunni. The Shia are fine. The Mandaeans, the Yazidis, the Druze, the Alevis, the Alawis or Alawites are fine, as are the ancient spectrum of Christians, the Maronites, the Melkites, the Latin Rite, the Antiochian Syriac Eastern Orthodox, the Oriental Syriac Orthodox. These are fine, but we need common sense, and these SJWs, they don't know a thing. I mean, how many videos have you seen where somebody says that guy's a Nazi, and this white suburban kid, will just haul off and violently punch somebody in the face, or 5 times we have on footage a professor of ethics, a teacher of ethics, who attacked a student who was just praying for peace between the two sides, and the professor split his head open with a bike lock. Praying for peace makes you a fascist? Yikes. So fascist, has lost its meaning nowadays, just like racist. It's terrible. And there is real racism out there, but it's because of these white liberals who dye their hair purple and pink and scream about white privilege, even though they themselves are white. I mean, do you not get it? Black people hate you. Like, I live in Chicago. I've seen how black people react to a guy walking up to him, young guy going, "What up, my brother, man?" They get pissed. They don't like being treated like that. When I walk up to them and say, "Hey, how's it going?" and shake their hand like a man, it's completely different, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I have Arab or Hispanic, Latino blood in me. It's the fact that I treat a man like a man. But I'll get back in on to the Benute and the Banu Joktan and all the descendants of Abraham and Esau and Ishmael, before it was homogenized in the Caliphate. But yeah, I may even do a longer video on Gnosticism. All right, peace to you, and thank you for listening.